Sometimes the most beautiful sunsets hide the darkest storms. What I'm about to tell you will shake you to your core. It's about how a simple vacation to Phuket turned into the most devastating lesson of my life. A lesson about trust, love, and how sometimes the person you die for is the same person slowly killing you inside. If you enjoy stories that reveal the harsh truths about modern relationships, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one. My name is Peter, and I'm a 26-year-old software engineer from Vancouver. December 2018 was supposed to be my reset month. After a brutal breakup with my college girlfriend Sarah, I needed to escape. My buddy Mike suggested we hit up Phuket for 2 weeks. "Dude, Thailand will clear your head," he said. "Beaches, food, adventure, no drama." If only I'd known how wrong he was. We landed in Phuket on a humid Tuesday evening. The island hit me like a wave of jasmine and sea salt. After checking into our hotel near Patong Beach, we grabbed dinner at a small restaurant overlooking the water. That's where I first saw her. Nerra was working as a server, moving between tables with this effortless grace. She had long black hair that caught the restaurant's warm lights, and when she smiled at customers, it felt genuine, not the fake tourist smile you get everywhere else. When she came to our table, something electric happened. "Welcome to Phuket," she said in perfect English, her voice soft but confident. "First time here?" "Yeah," I managed, suddenly feeling like a teenager again. "It's beautiful." She looked right at me when she replied, "The most beautiful things are often the most dangerous." Little did I know she was talking about herself. Mike was busy chasing Instagram spots the next day, so I found myself wandering back to the same restaurant. Nerra was working the lunch shift. "You came back?" she said, that same warm smile lighting up her face. "Best pad that on the island?" I lied. I'd barely touched my food the night before, too distracted by her presence. She laughed. "You haven't tried pad that anywhere else yet. Then you'll have to show me around." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. But instead of the polite rejection I expected, her expression shifted. Something vulnerable flickered in her eyes. "I get off at 6, she said quietly. "Meet me at the night market?" Those next few hours crawled by like molasses. When 6 o'clock finally came, I practically ran to the market. Nerra was waiting by a fruit stand, changed into a simple yellow dress that made her look like sunlight. We walked through the market for hours, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about growing up in a small village outside Phuket, about her dreams of traveling the world, about her love for old movies and terrible pop music. "What about you?" she asked as we shared mango sticky rice. "What are you running from in Canada?" The question caught me off guard. What makes you think I'm running from something? Everyone who comes to Thailand alone is running from something. The question is whether you're running towards something better or just away from the pain. I should have asked her the same question. That night, we walked along the beach under a blanket of stars. When she slipped her hand into mine, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. "Peter," she whispered, stopping in the sand, "I want you to know, I don't usually do this. I don't usually let people get close." "Then why me?" She looked up at me with those deep brown eyes. "Because you see me, not just a Thai girl, not just a server. You see me." When I kissed her that night, tasting salt air and possibilities, I thought I'd found my paradise. The next 5 days blurred together like a perfect dream. Every morning I'd meet Nerra after her shifts. We'd explore hidden beaches, eat at tiny local spots she knew, and talk until the sun came up. Mike kept warning me, "Dude, vacation romances never work out. Don't get too attached." But I was already gone. Completely, hopelessly gone. Nerra shared pieces of herself carefully, like she was letting me into a sacred space. She told me about her family's financial struggles, how she sent most of her earnings back to her parents and younger brother. She spoke about her ex-boyfriend Alex, an Australian who'd promised her the world and then left her heartbroken when he went back to Sydney. He said he loved me, she whispered one night as we lay on the beach. But love was just another English word to him. Empty. Meaningless. Not all foreign guys are like that, I said, pulling her closer. I know, she replied, her fingers tracing patterns on my chest. That's why I'm scared to trust you. God, I wish she'd stayed scared. On my last night, we sat on the balcony of her small apartment, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the city lights twinkle below. I don't want this to end, I admitted. It has to, she said sadly. You have your life, I have mine. What if we made it work? Long distance, visits, maybe eventually. She looked at me with such pain in her eyes. Peter, you don't understand. I'm not the kind of girl who gets happy endings. I took her face in my hands. You are to me. When we made love that night, it felt like both a beginning and an ending. Like we were trying to memorize each other before the inevitable goodbye. The next morning, she drove me to the airport. We barely spoke during the ride, both fighting back tears. This isn't goodbye, I said as I grabbed my luggage. She kissed me one last time, tasting like tears and broken promises. Take care of yourself, Peter from Vancouver. As my plane lifted off, I watched Phuket disappear below the clouds and made a silent vow. I was going to find a way back to her. Back in Vancouver, I threw myself into making our relationship work. We texted constantly, video called every night after her shifts, and slowly built something beautiful across the ocean. Nerra was different on video calls, more open, more vulnerable. She'd show me her tiny apartment, cook traditional Thai dishes while we talked, and fall asleep on camera so I could watch her breathe peacefully. I miss you, she'd whisper during our late-night calls. I dream about you every night. I'm going to come back, I promised. Soon. After 3 months of daily communication, I booked another trip to Phuket, this time for a full month. When I surprised her at the restaurant, her face lit up like the 4th of July. She literally jumped into my arms, not caring that her coworkers were watching. I can't believe you're here, she kept saying, tears streaming down her face. That month was magical. We took weekend trips to Krabi and Koh Phi Phi. She introduced me to her friends, her favorite local spots, pieces of her world she'd never shared with anyone else. I love you, I told her one evening as we watched the sunset from Promthep Cape. She was quiet for a long moment. I love you too, Peter, more than I've ever loved anyone. Then come to Canada with me. The words hung in the air between us like a challenge. She turned to look at me, her eyes wide with possibility and fear. You're serious? Dead serious. I'll sponsor you, help you get a visa. We can build a real life together. She threw herself into my arms, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes, she whispered against my neck. Yes, yes, yes. That was the moment I sealed my own fate. Getting Nerra a Canadian visa was like navigating a bureaucratic nightmare. Months of paperwork, interviews, financial statements, and proof of our relationship. But finally, miraculously, she was approved. She arrived in Vancouver on a cold February morning, and I'll never forget her face when she saw snow for the first time. She stuck out her tongue to catch snowflakes, laughing like a child. It's like tiny pieces of heaven, she said, spinning around in my driveway. My family loved her instantly. My mom was charmed by how she insisted on helping with dinner. My dad appreciated her genuine interest in his hockey obsession. Even my skeptical sister Emma warmed up to her. She's good for you, Emma told me privately. I can see why you fell for her. For 4 months, life was perfect. Nerra adapted to Canadian life better than I'd hoped. She found work at a local Thai restaurant, made friends, and seemed genuinely happy. But then I started noticing small things. She'd get mysterious text messages that would make her face go pale. She'd step outside to take certain phone calls. Sometimes I'd catch her staring out the window with this faraway expression, like she was somewhere else entirely. Everything okay? I'd ask. Of course, she'd say, forcing a smile. Just missing home sometimes. The first real red flag came on a Saturday night. We were at a house party with my friends when Nerra's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face went white. "I need to take this," she said, stepping onto the back deck. Through the glass door, I could see her having an intense conversation in Thai. Her body language was all wrong, defensive, almost afraid. When she came back inside, her hands were shaking. "Who was that?" I asked. "My mom," she lied. I could tell it was a lie because her voice got higher when she wasn't telling the truth. "Is everything all right back home?" "Yes, everything's fine. Just family stuff." I should have pushed harder. I should have demanded the truth right then. Instead, I let it slide. Love makes you stupid that way. The calls became more frequent. Always in Thai, always making her upset. She started having trouble sleeping, tossing and turning beside me, whispering things I couldn't understand. One night, I woke up to find her crying silently in the bathroom. "Nerra, what's wrong?" She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "I can't do this anymore, Peter." My heart stopped. "Can't do what?" "I'm not good enough for you. For this life, you should find someone better." "Are you insane? You're perfect. You're everything I've ever wanted." She shook her head violently. "You don't understand. There are things about me, things I haven't told you." "Then tell me now." But she just kept crying, kept saying she wasn't good enough, kept pushing me away emotionally even as I held her physically. This pattern continued for weeks. She'd have these mysterious phone calls, then spiral into self-doubt and depression. I felt like I was losing her piece by piece, but I didn't know how to stop it. The breaking point came on a Thursday night in July. We were having dinner when her phone rang. Same routine, pale face, step outside, intense conversation. But this time when she came back in, she was different. Resolved. Cold. "Peter, I need to tell you something." I set down my fork, my stomach already churning with dread. "I have to go back to Thailand." "For a visit?" "Okay, when?" "Number." She looked down at her hands. "For good." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What are you talking about?" "My visa expires next month. I can't renew it." "We'll figure it out. We'll get married. I'll sponsor you permanently." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because," she took a shaky breath, "because I'm already married." The world stopped spinning. "What did you say?" "I'm married, Peter. To Alex. The Australian one told you about. We never got divorced." I stared at her, my brain refusing to process what she'd just said. "That's impossible. You said he left you. You said you broke up." "We did break up, but we got married first for visa reasons. I thought he'd filed for divorce when he went back to Sydney, but he never did. I never did. I was too scared, too embarrassed. So this whole time I've been living a lie." I stood up so fast my chair fell over. "Are you fucking kidding me? You've been married for 2 years while we've been together?" "It's not like that. I haven't talked to him since." "Since when? Since he's been calling you every night for the past month?" Her face crumpled. "How did you—" "Because I'm not an idiot, Nerra. Those weren't calls from your mom. They were from your husband." She nodded miserably. "He found out about us." "About Canada. He's been threatening to report me for immigration fraud if I don't come back and work things out." I felt like I was drowning. "So what? You're just going to go back to him?" "I don't have a choice." "You always have a choice. Not when you're broke and illegal and thousands of miles from home." We stared at each other across the ruins of our relationship. Two people who'd built something beautiful on a foundation of lies. "Did you ever love me?" I asked quietly. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You were the only real thing in my whole fake life." But even that felt like another lie. Nerra left 2 weeks later. I drove her to the airport in complete silence, both of us too broken to speak. At the departure gate, she turned to me one last time. "Peter, I want you to know—" "Don't—" I cut her off. "Just don't." She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and walked away. I thought that was the end of it. I thought the worst pain was over. I was so fucking wrong. A month later, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. A post from one of Nerra's friends in Phuket. A picture of a beach wedding. A beautiful Thai woman in a white dress kissing a tall Western man. It was Nerra, and it wasn't Alex. It was some other guy, some rich-looking older dude I'd never seen before. The caption read, "Congratulations to the happy couple. So excited for Nerra and her new husband Marcus." I stared at that photo for an hour, my mind reeling. She'd been married to Alex, lied to me about it, left me to work things out with him, and then immediately married someone else? I called her number. Disconnected. I messaged her on social media. Blocked. I was completely, utterly erased from her life. That's when the real truth hit me. Alex hadn't been threatening her. There probably was no Alex, at least not in the way she'd described. The whole story had been an elaborate setup to extract herself from our relationship and move on to her next target. I'd been played. Perfectly, completely played. The months that followed were the darkest of my life. I quit my job, spent my savings, and basically became a hermit. My family tried to help, but how do you explain that the person you loved most in the world was a complete fiction? My sister Emma was the one who finally got through to me. "Peter, you need to hear this," she said, sitting on my couch 6 months after Nerra left. "I hired a private investigator." "What?" "I was worried about you, and something about her story never sat right with me, so I had her investigated." She handed me a folder. Inside were photos, documents, and a detailed report. Nerra wasn't even her real name. It was Siraporn. She was 32, not 28. She'd been married and divorced twice, both times to Western men. She had 2 children back in Thailand, not the poor family she'd described. And the most devastating part? I wasn't the first Canadian. There was a whole pattern. She'd target lonely Western men visiting Phuket, build relationships, get them to sponsor her for visas to their countries, extract whatever money and benefits she could, then move on to the next target. I was just another mark in a long con. "I'm sorry," Emma said, watching me process the information. "I know this hurts, but I thought you deserved to know the truth." I looked at the photos of Nerra with at least 6 different Western men over the past 5 years. In every photo, she had the same loving expression I'd thought was reserved just for me. "How could I have been so stupid?" I asked. "You weren't stupid," Emma said firmly. "You were in love, and she was a professional. It's been 2 years since Nerra Siraporn left my life. 2 years of therapy, rebuilding, and slowly learning to trust again. I'm not telling you this story for sympathy. I'm telling it as a warning. Love can make you blind. Desperation can make you stupid. And some people are so skilled at manipulation that they can make you believe their lies are your truth. The red flags were there from the beginning. The mysterious phone calls. The self-deprecating talk designed to make me want to save her. The way she always seemed to be in some kind of crisis that required my help. But I ignored them all because I wanted to believe in the fantasy. Sometimes the most beautiful sunsets really do hide the darkest storms. I've dated since then, but carefully. I've learned to trust my instincts, to ask harder questions, to look for consistency between someone's words and actions. And I've learned that real love doesn't require you to save someone. Real love is built on truth, mutual respect, and genuine partnership, not elaborate lies and emotional manipulation. Last month, I got a message from someone claiming to be one of Nerra's children, a teenage boy asking if I knew his mother, Siraporn, and if I could help him find her. Apparently, she disappeared again, leaving her kids with her parents while she chased her next victim in some other country. I felt bad for the kid, but I didn't respond. That chapter of my life is closed. I'm dating someone now. Sarah, yes, ironically the same name as my college ex. She's a kindergarten teacher from Toronto, honest to a fault, and completely transparent about her life, her past, and her feelings. It's not the passionate, desperate love I felt for Nerra. It's something better. It's real. Sometimes I still dream about that first night on the beach in Phuket. The feeling of finding someone who saw me, understood me, completed me. But now I know the difference between love and manipulation, between connection and calculation. The most beautiful things really are often the most dangerous. But that doesn't mean you should stop looking for beauty. It just means you should be smarter about recognizing the real thing when you find it. So there's my story. A cautionary tale about love, trust, and the price of ignoring red flags. If this resonated with you, if you've been in a similar situation, or if you just want to support honest storytelling about modern relationships, hit that subscribe button. And seriously, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. Remember, your heart might lie to you, but your gut usually tells the truth. Trust it. Next week, I'll be sharing another viewer's story about a romance scam that started on a dating app and cost him his entire life savings. You won't believe how sophisticated these operations have become. Stay safe out there.